AI financing is a circle. We have all kinds of different agreements that are taking place in their circular arrangements, and one is known as the Ohio Loop, which was just recently signed. And so this episode focuses on the Ohio Loop.
The headline said Nvidia loaned OpenAI $250 billion. That was never the deal. Today, the real paper dropped, and the word still is not loan. It is a loop. 3 words: invest, you own a piece; lease, you pay for capacity over time; guarantee, you promise to cover someone else's bill if they can't. The Ohio Loop uses all 3. August 17, 2026. OpenAI, Nvidia, and SoftBank's SB Energy announced a signed agreement at the PORTS-Pike campus in Pike County, Ohio. OpenAI will lease about 8 gigawatts of IT capacity. SB Energy builds it, owns it, and runs it under a 20-year lease. Nvidia is the only chip stack allowed inside. Watch the loop, one arrow at a time. Arrow 1. SoftBank's SB Energy builds the campus and the power. 10 gigawatts of new generation. 8 gigawatts of actual compute. The local utility is already on the hook for $4.2 billion of new grid. Arrow 2. OpenAI is the tenant, not the landlord. It does not own the land. It leases the factory for 20 years, and it is the customer for those 8 gigawatts. Arrow 3. Nvidia is exclusive. Every rack is Nvidia. That is not a side deal. That is the demand lock, the chips that make Nvidia's revenue story go through this building. Arrow 4. Nvidia is also writing a check the other way, $1.5 billion into SB Energy itself. SoftBank already owned the builder. OpenAI already invested in the builder. Now the chip vendor owns a piece of the landlord too. Arrow 5. The big number. Nvidia will backstop the land, the power, and the building shell credit support on the first 4.25 gigawatts with an option on the rest. Reuters, The Times, and the FT citing a filing, Nvidia's obligation is capped at $105 billion. Not a loan, a cosign. If the tenant can't carry the lease, Nvidia's balance sheet is on the paper. Put the 5 arrows on one map. SoftBank builds, OpenAI leases. Nvidia supplies the chips, invests in the builder, and guarantees the shell. Same 3 companies, money going around the circle. That is the Ohio Loop, and as of today, it is signed. What died on the way to the signature matters. In July, the talks were a $250 billion guarantee on the whole campus, plus separate chip financing that could have pushed the project past $500 billion. Mid-August, after investors flinched, the backstop was cut to the first phase. The signed cap is 105. The first light is aimed at 2028. Permits, reviews, and financing can still stop it. One more fact most recaps skip. This sits on federal land, a Cold War uranium plant the Energy Department used to run. Officials were at the March partnership. Japanese trade money is in the gas plants. OpenAI says it will pay its own energy costs. The ground underneath is still the government's. Why call it a loop? Because Nvidia's guarantee helps OpenAI rent a factory that can only buy Nvidia. Then Nvidia invests in the company that builds that factory. The same demand shows up as chip sales, as an investment, and as a credit line. None of that is fraud. It is vendor financing, stretched until one company's credit is holding up another company's campus. So not a loan, a 20-year lease, an exclusive chip lock, a $1.5 billion stake in the builder, and a $105 billion cap on a guarantee on a Cold War site in southern Ohio. The loop is no longer a rumor. It is a contract. Whether it holds is a 2028 question. Sources in the description.